Hey, hey, hey. All right, let me add Steven. How do we do this? Excited to go live today, chat with you all about alternative living and resilience. Let's just see how we do this. Sweet. Awesome. Here in Costa Rica this morning. Lovely morning. Just made myself some coffee. There's Steven. Okay, how do we do the live thing? Here we go. What's up, sweet brother?
Hey, Eduardo.
How you doing, man?
Oh, just morning, already planted a bunch of things, got a whole crew here doing things, just, doing my
Love it.
thing. How you doing, Eduardo? It looks
I
so
love how.
beautiful. Look at your background.
Oh yeah, I'm here in the capital, but it's still so lush here, man. I love this country.
Yeah, it looks so beautiful. Hey, everybody who's watching, thanks. Of all the things you could be doing, here you are with us.
Yeah.
What an honor. Give us a shout out where you watching from.
What?
So what's up,
Oh man,
Eduardo?
I'm just
How's
looking
your
at you
morning?
living life in the hammock there. I figured we'd talk a little
Yeah.
bit now because people are hitting me up a lot about Costa Rica and other countries and alternative living and all this goodness. And I remember we met at Whole Foods in New Jersey in the parking lot,
2007.
2007. Epic.
Yeah, you Puerto Viejo. Look at that.
Oh, amazing. Asheville.
Gosh.
Holler. Yeah, I was pretty blown away. At that time, you had Kapali communities and you're on a veggie bus and you're driving around raising consciousness for how people can live in community and in neighborhood. And now, looking some years back, you got a bunch of eco villages. You have an education center, Punta Mona. And you throw a festival, which for me was freaking awesome because I came to Costa Rica to create a community, be a land steward of Vida. And I've thrown festivals since I was a kid. And I was like, man, this guy's like an older brother, mentor, who's done everything and is doing everything that I'm passionate about. And you have the same, you were born with the same infliction as I was, ADO. You want to tell people what that?
Attention deficit order, baby.
Yeah.
The opposite of a disorder. How could we accomplish so many things if we were so focused?
Right? So I love that. I love people who are like focused, and it's important. But I also love the fact that like I look at you and I'm like, man, I don't know many eco villages that exist in Costa Rica. I don't know many people who have built more than one successfully. So it's pretty freaking amazing.
Sorry,
Um,
when I get a phone call, it throws me off.
oh, no worries. Yeah, man. And you're also, I
Yeah.
feel like you do your own stuff, but you're also this bridge to other people. Like when I got my land, when we got Vida, you helped me plant a shit ton of fruit trees. We planted right away. We didn't even have irrigation, but you got me planted. You're like, Ed, you have to build homes here. You have to start. And through all like the thick and thin and crazy stuff that's happened, it's been really good being in this ecosystem of people like you here creating projects that are regenerative and yeah, I wanted you to share a little bit about your vision for generative future, not just in Alegria, your eco village, but your neighborhood concepts and 1001 and all the crazy things you see possible now to
Yeah.
bridge people.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like we need to radically question everything, absolutely everything. And there's like we need to transform spiritually. We need to constantly spiritually be transforming and evolving and growing and becoming something new while we are creating a physical reality that we could drop in and be that. It's like I constantly ooh,
Oh,
nice
thanks,
house.
bro. Trying to learn how to.
I const,
Uh-huh.
I constantly say, it's like there's so many vipassanas and there's so many ayahuascas and there's so many, so much yoga and so much prayer. But if we're still renting apartments and we're still shopping at food store that food comes from far away and we still have no connection to where our water comes from or where it goes,
Right.
like, it's we're lacking. So like I'm there's so much about this kind of like internal like spiritual awakening that's needed, and we need like a radical sorry, my
Yeah.
phone keeps ringing.
No, it's all
There's
good.
like a radical physical awakening to there's this radical physical awakening that's needed so incredibly, you know. And I guess, you know, it's like there's so many different levels of the spectrum, you know. It's like on a macro, the whole world needs major waking up. But I even feel like in our own little community of you know, kind of like creatives and spiritual seekers, like there's still that piece to me is lacking so terribly, you know. And I think like the most radical thing we could do is get on land, you know, with friends and start growing food and connecting with water and connecting with design and creating our a new reality. Otherwise, you know, it's like we're going to keep enduring with the same mediocrity.
Yeah, I think you told me back in the day, break them chains. And I love that. It's stuck with
Yeah,
me ever since because I remember
yeah.
also like I broke my chains when I left the US. I moved to Costa Rica. But even now, like you saw the apartment, I'm like, oh, hey, Rumi. I'm like, oh man, I want to break them chains even more. Like I want to live on my land. I want to move into a cabin. I want to start doing this stuff. And then, you know, as I started looking at land and started looking around, there's a lot of friends and tribe around. And I'm like, wow, I want to be near friends. I want to have food sovereignty and water sovereignty. And then I started thinking, what about schools? We're going to need teachers here. We're going to need all that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate that world? Because I know a lot of friends come down, and first of all, they try different parts. In our case, we chose Costa Rica because it's freaking blessed. But you know, friends come down and they do this tour of alternative living in a way. They see what communities they want to live in, where they want to live. What's the easiest way to navigate that whole jambalaya of how to start? Let's put it that way.
No, I mean, I think like if you're just starting, like I would go live
Yeah.
somewhere. Like I feel like Punta Mona has been such like a stepping point for so many. Like going to Punta Mona for so many people is their first taste of like off-grid living and, you know, connecting to food and connecting to, you know, not you know, really disconnected from a broken system. It's like the ultimate way to break chains, you know. So I really whether it's Punta Mona or there's Rancho Mastatal or there's, you know, Brave Earth or there's all these different, you know, farms that are emerging that are that really give you a taste of what it would be like to live that way, you know. And you know, I think the other thing is like you never want to be, you don't want to make hasty decisions. It's like you don't want to get married hastily, you know. So it's like when you're going to decide on land partners, you're going to decide on property, or you're going to decide on some big macro decision, you really want to thoroughly think about it and experience it and feel it and see it through some seasons and really think about setting criteria. Like what is your criteria for what you're looking for, and how can you figure out which part of that criteria is non-negotiable and which part of that criteria is what, you know, what you're looking for and will fulfill what your dreams are. And where do you want to be in a year, and where do you want to be in 5 years, and where do you want to be in 10 years? I saw that, I shared in my, I don't know if you saw it in my story yesterday, my high school girlfriend had this post that in 2015 um, everyone who said where they wanted to be in where they were hoping to be in 5 years was absolutely wrong. I thought it was so funny. Nobody thought we'd be here right now. I know I didn't, but we are, you know. And I guess right now, like this whole thing in the news about the guy in Minneapolis that the police murdered, like that's really been on my mind this morning. And just like, yeah, sure, we need to connect with our food and we need to connect with our water and we need to like, you know, break down the patriarchy and break down this white supremacy and break down, there's so many facets to the change that needs to happen. And I think it all starts with us, you know. It's like we need to radically question all these things and the way they're happening, and then we need to incorporate that into who we are and how we think and what we do.
Right.
You know, it's like you don't want to just think change, you want to be change. You know, you don't want to just think about how it could be, you want to be that now.
Right.
And yeah, that's what I
Oh,
think.
I love that. And I love that you're doing this from a hammock in a nice eco home. You know, the reality is like when I got to Costa Rica, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to live on a farm and just farm and be sweaty and this is going to be tough. And, you know, when I made my non-negotiables, I was like, I want to be comfortable here. I have some friends who want to live in a hammock all their life. I have some friends who want to be in an eco village. Like when I saw Carla and Mario's home in EcoVilla, I was like, man, like here's a couple who's like, they're crushing it. They're from like San Jose, and they built themselves a gorgeous eco home. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, in an eco village. They're
Yeah.
comfy.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever way people make that bridge, I know my parents, they need certain things, you know, whether it's cool weather, whether
Hmm.
it's a, you know, bug-free home, but I think all that's possible. And I like what you said about writing down your values or your non-negotiables. You know, I look at that and I do it over and over. I'm like, what do I really want? How can I be living? Not in some freaking ideal, but like, what can I do today? So I'm selling this apartment and moving out, you know, into a small home on the land that I steward. And I'm like, oh, that'll be nice. I'll be half an hour from Steven. Maybe I'll even be on your community one day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you should do. I think you should start setting dates and start
Yeah,
making deadlines and start figuring out when all of us,
yeah,
anyone who's watching, like start setting deadlines when you're going to stop renting and when you're going to get onto land. Like, you know, any transition is sometimes difficult, you know,
yeah.
it's like, and you just, you know, you have to cross that hard transition moments, you know, and there's so many communities, like even Punta Mona is open right now.
Yeah.
Like if people wanted to go to Punta Mona, oh my God, there's a bird like a meter away from me.
Hello, bird.
Oh, I
I
know.
saw a hummingbird this morning.
Um,
I was like,
yeah, so beautiful. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think, you know, people should start, you know, and it's everywhere. You know, there's the I think it's
yeah,
ic.org or something, intentionalcommunity.org. Like there's intentional communities all over the world, you know,
yeah,
and it doesn't, everybody doesn't have to go off and start their own,
right.
you know. It's like I get so many messages of people wanting to start their own and so many people wanting to do this and that. It's like there's so many people wanting to do it. Maybe we all just need to get together and try to do it together. I think
Uh,
the constant historically is like people getting along and decision making
yeah.
together and like, yeah,
Yeah, that's the other
I
thing
don't
too, by
know.
the
Yeah,
way.
it feels.
Like the community,
What's
like
that?
the community thing is wonderful, and I personally love it. But on the other hand, like I saw friends looking at land around where other people had communities and kind of building a neighborhood. And I really like that too, because we could farm together, we could have our projects, we could all live in a neighborhood. It doesn't always have to be for everyone, like intentional community and powwows, you know?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. You know, but I think there's a big difference between intentional community and ecological neighborhood.
talk about it.
You know, EcoVilla and Alegria are more ecological neighborhoods. Intentional community is usually like a group of people coming together and starting a community.
Yeah,
In this case, it was like, you know, we raised the money and found the land and came up with the design and come up with, you know, what the common things are going to be like and what the HOA reality is and how the decisions are made. And then people either buy in or they don't, you
right.
know, and I think that, um, I like that model better because I know that I don't want to be sitting in meetings with a lot of people for a long time trying to make decisions, you
It's
know?
hard. I thought they were like crazy.
Yeah.
Like some of the decisions, I remember I went to one of the HOA meetings early on in EcoVilla, and you know, someone was talking about the fence to the public road and that they didn't want to live in a gated community and thing like that in prison. And another person didn't want their kid to run out into the road. And I'm like, wow, these are like two people with the same values, but really butting heads on hard issues. And then, you know, a couple of years later, you see it all balances out. The person who's not for that community eventually ends up leaving or figuring out a way to live there. It's not like an easy cookie to cut sometimes.
No, no, it's not easy. And that's why I think the less decisions you have to make in big groups, the better off you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. I think that's definitely, that's definitely important. And I think also just like, it feels like with COVID, you know, so many people are realizing, are starting to question their realities, you know, which,
Yeah.
you know, I think is a positive thing. You know, I think it's positive that people are questioning the way things have been happening and the way things have been going and how can we be more intentional and set things up better for ourselves to thrive.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think it always has to be Costa Rica. Like I have tons of friends calling me that they're moving upstate New York, 2 hours out of LA, but they're moving into nature. They're getting resilient. They're having their own little gardens. You know, I chose Costa Rica just because I think it's freaking paradise, and my cost of living lowered. Like some people are like, "Wow, like you're very lucky," and I'm grateful as hell to be here. But most of my cost of living lowered when I got here. It's not like, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I don't think I feel like if people are ready to make a decision, you set it, like pick your dates and then decide where you want to go, travel, discover that stuff, you know?
Yeah, and even be intentional about not knowing. Like you might not know exactly what you want to do. So that's when you start, getting clear, like what are the steps that I could take now to start discovering what it is that I might. It's so interesting. I just Andrea just launched these. My
Yeah.
sweetie Andrea just launched her like one-on-one mentoring program, and I was working. I think I'm going to start doing it too. I think finding mentors is crucial. Finding people that have done what you want to do and finding ways to interact with them, I think is a really, really big step in trying to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to do. So if anybody's watching is interested, let me know because I'm going to take on 3 people.
By the way, it was pretty epic when we were in Chiripo last weekend. I saw you. I saw David Comfort from Rise. I saw Mateo from Finca Bella Vista, all these eco developers, retreat owners. And I was like, man, this is like a mentors council. Brad and Nikki, Marcus and Gabby, all, like literally like 6 couples and people who have started retreat centers, communities, or are starting. And I think that's awesome. The ecosystem of mentors and people who,
Mm-hmm.
learning and doing, it's pretty freaking inspiring here.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Do anybody out there have any questions? I don't see I don't think that, is it working down below for you anymore? I feel like
Oh
the
yeah, the
more,
down below. Oh no, I gotta scroll down. Hold on. It's working. It's working. Oh yeah, there we go.
really for me, it's not. For me, it's just locked on 7. And the last person I saw was that Rodrigo Cota joined.
Somebody said, would love to come and meet you guys. Let's get together. Hydromedical cannabis. Oh, hello. Hello. Great.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder why for me it froze. That's so weird.
Weird. Huh. Yeah, I'm new to the whole live thing, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
By the way, you mentioned
Yeah.
something about Punta Mona, and I wanted to discuss with you a little bit about that because I was speaking to a buddy of both of ours, Chip Conley, about hospitality and about real estate and these big words people use for the things that are going on. And I saw also, and obviously events too and experiences, I see a lot of it merging now and blending. I went to a retreat center the other day and they had people living there for 3 months, including teachers and healers. And I don't think it's just COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a reality where, like, we started with the retreat center. I couldn't get the community going early on, but it was a platform to ignite the land, to live on the land. What do you think about, I love education. I love experiences, like the kind of experience in Punta Mona my first year here in Costa Rica. What do you think is the future of that? Whoa, did your eyes just get bluer? Whoa.
I was playing with these little buttons down below.
Oh, I want to play with buttons. Let me put a Costa Rican background on. Hold on. Oh, cool. Whoa, is it snowing? Prana?
No, it's snowing gold.
Ah, it's incredible. Oh, how did you get sunglasses? Do I have to take these
You
off?
know.
Yeah, what do you think's the future of Punta Mona and retreat centers and things like that? How is it going to change now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more longer thing. For diversity, and we want to start doing
Yeah.
longer stays. So I think that's the focus, like that we're starting to go for. And we already shifted. It's like when Punta Mona started, we were getting high school groups for 2 nights. That was like what Punta Mona started on. And then we started doing more permaculture courses, which were 2 weeks, and yoga teacher trainings that were 3 weeks, and the permaculture for the herbalist path, which was 4 weeks. So we've been we've been kind of on that trajectory for a while. And now we want to start doing the EcoVirsity 8-week programs, which I think it's like we want to really radically impact people. So I think that's crucial.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anybody has any thoughts or questions, I have about 10 more minutes. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great. Grateful for the minutes.
I don't know how long you're planning, but
No, that's perfect.
I've got a full house here.
I don't see questions. I
Yeah.
just see people. Oh, Javi said mis tigres. I remember when we did Echo.
Papi.
Echo, by the way, it's funny because I used to be a nightclub promoter in New York. When I got to Costa Rica, it was a little bit different, the kind of events that we were doing. And we threw Echo, where you were a speaker, this 100-person gathering. And because of Echo, I remember Pablo came, Sebastian, Javi, we built a pool, we bought 30 tents, planted a shit ton of fruit trees with you. So it was actually an event that got our property going, which is kind of crazy. Even if people come for a temporal period.
Yeah, that's often a good way. That's often a good way to do things, is to set a date and really get the fire under your ass. Oh wow, it started working again. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, it didn't. That's so weird. My thing's not working. It got the fire under your ass, and I think that's a good thing. Is like to really challenge yourself to prepare. Yeah, I think the, just being bold and setting, dates and setting visions and going for things, not, it's like there's this fine line between planning and going for it, like over
Yeah.
planning and getting the paralysis by analysis and then never doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty notorious for just going for it, often when I'm not ready, you
Yeah,
know.
by the way, yeah, I've
Um,
seen that so many times where you're just like, we're gonna do this. Like, even joining like the Eclipse Festival, I'm like, Steven, like, aren't you producing like a huge festival? And you're like, yeah, but we got to do one more. I'm like, holy shit, man, you're nonstop. But yeah,
yeah, I think, you also have to like really have your finger on the pulse of like where are your skills best most useful and what's going to have the biggest impact and balance that with like what's going to take care of your quality of life and your financial reality and just keep finding balance, and making sure that you're in line, and also like periodically like even putting it in your calendar like to like stop and pause and maybe take a day to
mhm.
like vision quest and make sure you're on track and write things down that you want to be doing and periodically check back in and make sure that you are.
Yeah, I always do it in my journal. I'm like, okay, where am I at? Where I want to be? And even now, like I remember you told me build a house on your property, and there was so much planning and permits and things, and I could never get a house built, and do that part of it, start
Yeah.
living. But I was actually more comfortable here in Escazú for a while. I had my apartment, I had Uber Eats, I had all this stuff. Then COVID happens, and I'm like, okay, like I want to live near my food, I want to live near my friends, even if it's in some vicinity. I actually feel more comfortable living at Vida, living on the land, than I do in my apartment now, with any luxuries that I might have thought I had. And I realized how hard it was to get that going. Started like this tiny home project now to bridge people to that reality quicker, because I'm like, man, if I can plop a home down, I don't have to wait a year to build my house. And I have friends who own lots, and they're like, yeah, we're going to build this house that our architect is still designing for the last year and a half. And I'm kind of like, okay, I guess that's the process. But if we can start living on the land in a tent, in a tiny house, and whatever, it makes it so much more tangible, to bridge people to that reality. Someone said, hey, Stephen, Healthy Garden,
Who was it? I can't
Healthy
see
Garden
anything.
Co.
Who was it?
Healthy Garden Co. Hey, Stephen.
Oh, hey
Hey
there.
there.
Hi. I'm so annoyed that I can't see any of the people. Oops.
Oh, but I did see those beautiful trees and that beautiful sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get.
So
I'm
strange.
waving at everybody here. Um,
Okay, good.
yeah. By the way, in terms of reaching out, you're as busy as you are. You've always made time for people who are on this quest. So reach out to Stephen. Reach out to me. He knows way more than I do about this stuff. But my partner reminded me the other day. She's like, you know, a lot of fruit tree names, a lot of random plants, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's a yellow garcinia right there.
That's right. Oh my God, ours is pumping next door right here, right now. The yellow
Part
Garcinia.
of the Annona family? No.
No, part of the
Part of the
Garcinia family.
Garcinia family.
Part of the Gutiperaceae family, actually. But the Garcinia is the genus.
Yeah, I'm learning these things.
That's the mangosteen. Mangosteen
Oh,
relative.
I freaking love mangosteen. I love it.
I know.
I love it.
Me too. I know. I'm going back to Punta Mona this weekend. I'm so excited. I've been gone. I haven't been there in 3 months. It's probably the longest since I started
Yeah.
it. 25 years that I haven't been
And
there.
people are just kind of running it there, planting.
Just farming.
Farm.
Just farming. Yeah,
I also remember you
totally.
said something to me because we had a property and I was like, Stephen, I want to plant hardwoods, but they take a long time to plant, like a long time to grow. And you're like, yeah, you got to start now. And even now, 10 years after being here, I'm like, I want to plant more hardwoods. And, even if I don't see them fully grown in my life.
Yeah, I mean, when's the best time to plant a tree?
Today.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
When's the second best time?
Today.
Now.
By the way, it's funny because when you planted all the fruit trees, it looked really cute and everything was nice. But like, I went to the farm a couple weeks ago and I'm harvesting jackfruit that are bigger than my head and sapote for the first year. And I'm like, holy shit, like this, like my arugula got eaten by something. I don't know, some kind of pest. But like these fruit trees keep on pumping and giving food.
Yeah, we got to plant more. Let's plant more. Let's do
Oh,
it.
by the way, I do want to plant, I asked you about that, but I do want to plant more this rainy
Yeah,
season.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
All right, bro. I know you have to roll, but this has been so much fun. I love you, dude.
I love you, Eduardo, and I love to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Bummed. I love seeing who's signing on and stuff. That's like one of the most fun things about this. But Oh
I
well,
see a
love
lot
to
of them, but
everybody.
there's a lot of Instagram tags and hard to see some of the names, but I love you people. You're amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. Come visit Alegria Village. At Alegria Village.
Break them chains. Awesome.
Love you,
Love you, my
Zaydel.
bro.
Ciao,
Ciao,
papi.
papi.